Hey, this is Matt for AVNation.tv. We are here in sunny San Diego for CEDIA 2017. We are in the Torus Power booth with Kevin Mann. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for making some time for us today. We've been touring the show for a fair amount, and we're seeing all kinds of high-res audio options. I don't want to say it's all the rage, but everyone is talking about how they have the ability to provide high-res audio. We're seeing a lot of high-res theater systems as Atmos has come in. Again, that's just fueling that fire. How does that type of application correlate with the Torus Power products?
And that's a great question. And we've been hearing a lot more about high-res audio as well, and high-performance cinemas. You know, for the benefit of the viewers, the high-res audio really speaks to any audio format that's recorded in a higher rate than CD format.
Right.
So CD is 44.1 at 16 kilohertz. So we're talking 96, 24-bit or 192, 24-bit. What they're really speaking to, though, is not so much the numbers, but they're really speaking to the studio experience. So being able to listen to something as it was recorded in the studio at that quality.
Yes.
And for us, that means that, you know, we're trying to help somebody replicate the studio experience with very high quality sound, whether it's in an audio system or whether it's in a home cinema. When you go to a studio, they all use the technology that we have in the studio. They all use toroidal isolation as the foundation for power within a studio.
Right.
What we do is we provide that in an application that's suited for residential application.
Right.
So we're providing a toroidal isolation transformer like this one here in a form factor that allows somebody that has an audio system or a cinema system in the home to be able to experience the proper power foundation as they do in the studio.
Right.
So essentially, we're providing high-res power for high-res music.
Yeah.
That's really what we're trying to do.
Now, as integrators are going about designing that, let's be fair, a lot of times they're not instantly thinking power. How do you tell that story, especially to the clients? Because even if the integrators aren't thinking of it, the clients definitely are not thinking about it. How do you weave that story of you need a solid power foundation to allow your high-res audio to actually maintain high-res audio standards?
Right. So you know, what we see is we're seeing a cinema, home cinema, for example, that's being built out now with maybe 30 speakers or 40 speakers that are going into the cinema. That means that there's multiple amplifiers going in to power those speakers. And when we get to an opportunity to talk to the integrator or the homeowner about, you know, the starting point for all of those amplifiers is plugging it into the wall. What are you plugging it into? And they all realize, even though they might not come to mind initially, but they all realize that you need to have a good foundation if you're going to have a good system.
Right.
You know, it's like building a house. You need a strong foundation. So by looking at power as a starting point and providing the right foundation for power, it allows everything else to work the way that it's intended to work. And that just helps deliver the proper result at the end of the day. So the proper performance, the proper noise floor, everything else if you're starting with power. So for us, it's really a foundational product. You know, you build the right foundation, you put the right power in, and then you allow everything else to run off of the clean power with the low noise floor, and then you're going to get the performance that you're trying to get.
So in an application where, say, you're retrofitting a facility or a home, and you want to put in something of this size because you're putting a large system in, what's the best method to plan that out if they're not necessarily willing to rip open all the walls and rewire the entire place?
Sure. You know, a lot of times it doesn't require rewiring. I mean, we'll look at what exists in that particular room or theater. So let's look at what's there now. We'll look at what we want to put. So what gear is going to be put in,
Right.
what amplifiers are going to be running. So we look at the environment, and then we'll assess the power going into that environment, and maybe we're using existing wiring to switch
Right.
from 120 volt to 240 volt. If there's room on the panel to do it, which there typically is, then we can upgrade from 120 volt feed to a 240 volt,
Right.
which allows us to really put in the proper performance, multiple output circuits,
Right.
and many times we find that integrating a product such as this can be done actually quite easily.
So obviously the dealers can work directly with you and Torus Power on planning that out.
Right.
So if they want to do that, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
So, obviously our website is toruspower.com, but we have an internal support team for dealers for specifying jobs, where we look at the equipment list, we look at the power signatures, what are the power requirements of the particular job. Once we get all of that information, what are we working with in terms of the platform? What's going to it now? What access do we have? And then we'll sketch out, the proper sequence for these are the units or the unit that you need to use, and here's the sequence of putting it in and running these units. So we have that support in-house, and that's typically contacting Ross at our place, who kind of heads that up.
Right.
And that can be done through the website. The contact's all there at toruspower.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for all your time.
Thank you.
For more information and more video from the show floor, please visit avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.